After the visit to the neighboring valley, Mira and Rian returned home with a new sense of purpose. The valley felt different to Myra. It was the same place she had grown up in, yet now she saw it through fresh eyes. People moved with cautious determination. Conversations were quieter, but full of thought. And even the children seemed more aware of the importance of working together. Mira realized that Rian's influence was growing, not through loud commands or displays of force, but through calm action and the trust he inspired in others. Rian spent his days observing, planning, and helping wherever he could. He walked among the villagers, talking to farmers, merchants, and craftsmen. He listened patiently to their concerns and offered simple yet practical solutions. He taught them ways to store crops more efficiently, organize water supplies, strengthen structures without wasting resources. Mira often accompanied him, carrying notes, assisting with calculations, and helping people understand his instructions. She began to see that leadership was not about speaking first or standing above others. It was about guiding and empowering people to act wisely. One morning, Rian and Mira were called to the home of an elder named Tomas. Tomas had a wide network of contacts among the nearby valleys and often traveled to gather information. He greeted them warmly and said, "Rian, people are beginning to notice your guidance. They are looking for direction and hope. Some villages have problems that they cannot solve alone. They need your help." Rian nodded thoughtfully. "We must begin by organizing communication between valleys. People should share resources, skills, and knowledge. Cooperation will make us stronger than fear or threats. Every valley has its strengths. Every village has solutions. We must connect them so no one stands alone." Mira watched him closely, noticing how naturally he spoke with authority. His ideas were simple, yet powerful. He was not asking anyone to follow blindly. Instead, he showed them the value of thinking clearly, planning carefully, and acting together. Mira felt a surge of pride. She realized that the man she had married for duty was becoming someone capable of guiding not just a village, but an entire region. The first step Rian took was to establish a system of messengers. He chose villagers from each valley who were trustworthy and diligent. He taught them how to carry information efficiently, avoid miscommunication, and report on problems or resources. Mira helped him train the messengers. She learned how careful organization and patience could transform ordinary people into reliable connectors who strengthened the entire network. Next, Rian visited the farms. He advised farmers on crop rotation, irrigation, and storage techniques. He showed them how small changes could produce better results without extra effort or expense. Mira noticed how the villagers began to feel confident in their work. They smiled while they worked, sharing ideas with each other and experimenting with new methods. Rian's influence spread quietly, but steadily, like a gentle river reshaping the valley's fields. Even the children were included. Rian encouraged them to observe nature, understand the seasons, and learn basic problem-solving skills. He explained that humans could grow stronger not only through work, but through learning and thought. Mira enjoyed teaching the children alongside him. She noticed how they listened carefully to Rian, repeating his lessons at home and helping their parents. A sense of hope was growing in the valley. Mira realized that Rian had planted the seeds for a stronger, smarter community. One day, a small group of travelers arrived. They were worried about the distant kingdom, which had been sending scouts to check on villages. They feared interference or unfair demands. Rian welcomed them, listened to their concerns, and calmly explained how the villages could remain safe without confrontation. He taught them ways to organize supplies, communicate with neighboring settlements, and protect resources peacefully. The travelers left with hope in their hearts and shared Rian's guidance with others. Mira watched all of this with admiration. She realized that Rian's strength did not come from force or intimidation. It came from intelligence, patience, and moral courage. He inspired trust because he did not demand obedience. Instead, he showed people how to act wisely and work together. Myra began to feel a deep respect for him, and slowly her feelings changed. She had married him for duty, but now she admired and trusted him for who he truly was. As Rian's influence grew, he began holding small meetings with elders from other valleys. He explained how cooperation could make their communities stronger. He encouraged them to share knowledge about farming, water management, and local resources. He also taught them strategies for preventing misunderstandings or conflicts between valleys. The elders listened carefully. They had never met someone who spoke so calmly yet convincingly. Mira saw the confidence in their eyes and realized that Rian was creating a network of guidance that extended far beyond their own valley. One evening, Mira and Rian returned home from a meeting in a nearby valley. Mira noticed the glow of the sunset on the fields and felt a sense of calm. "Rian," she said softly, "you have changed so much in just a few weeks. People look to you for guidance. They trust you. How do you do it?" Rian smiled gently. "I do not seek their trust. I only seek to help them see what they can do for themselves. People are stronger than they think. They just need guidance, not control. When they work together, they become capable of anything." Mira felt her heart warm. She had married him because it was her duty, but now she understood that his quiet strength and clear mind could inspire real change. She realized that she was learning from him, growing alongside him, and beginning to see the true meaning of partnership. The valley began to show signs of transformation. Farms were more productive, villages communicated efficiently, and resources were organized for the benefit of everyone. Even in small, subtle ways, the people began to feel safer and more confident. They respected Rian, not because of fear or force, but because he had shown them how to act wisely. Mira felt a sense of pride and awe. She had witnessed the quiet rise of a leader who inspired hope without raising a sword. One day, while walking through the fields with Mira, Rian noticed a group of children trying to repair a broken water channel. He watched them struggle for a moment and then knelt down beside them. He guided them gently, showing them how to reinforce the sides, align the stones, and control the flow of water. Mira watched as the children followed his instructions carefully, learning from his patience. When the channel was complete, the water flowed smoothly, and the children laughed with joy. Mira realized that Rian was teaching not just skills, but confidence and problem-solving. The distant kingdom remained a quiet concern. Scouts were still reported near the borders, and rumors of their intentions continued to circulate. Rian knew that preparation was the key. He began teaching the elders and villagers strategies for communication, resource sharing, and planning. His guidance emphasized understanding rather than confrontation, wisdom rather than anger. Mira admired his approach. He was shaping a future where humans could stand tall, not through force, but through intelligence, cooperation, and moral courage. During this time, Mira's feelings continued to deepen. She saw Rian as more than a husband chosen by duty. She saw him as someone extraordinary, someone capable of guiding entire communities and inspiring hope. She felt proud to work beside him and grateful for the lessons he shared. Her admiration grew with each passing day. One afternoon, as they returned from a meeting with several village elders, Mira asked, "Do you ever fear that people will not follow your guidance?" Rian shook his head. "People follow what they understand and trust. If we show them how to act wisely and care for each other, they will choose the right path. Fear is not needed. Preparation and understanding are enough." Mira smiled. She realized that she had learned an important lesson. True leadership did not come from strength alone. It came from intelligence, patience, and respect. She also realized that her husband had this rare strength and abundance. As the days turned into weeks, villages began to prepare for any challenge that might arise from the distant kingdom. Supplies were organized, communication was strengthened, and people learned to solve problems together. Mira felt proud and hopeful. The valley, once quiet and isolated, was now filled with confidence and unity. Mira and Rian continued their journey together side by side. Mira no longer saw the marriage as a duty alone. She saw it as a partnership, a journey of learning, growing, and inspiring hope. Rian's quiet strength was becoming a guiding light for the entire region. The people respected him, trusted him, and began to believe in themselves. At night, Amira often looked at Rian while he planned for the next day. She realized that she had married someone extraordinary, not because he sought glory or power, but because he carried the ability to guide, teach, and inspire. She understood that the valley's future was changing because of his wisdom, patience, and quiet strength. Mira felt that their journey together had only just begun, and so the quiet man she had married for duty continued to rise, not through force, but through careful planning, guidance, and inspiration. Mira knew that the days ahead would bring challenges, but with Rian beside her, she felt hope, confidence, and pride in the human spirit. Ravi's life had changed in ways he could hardly imagine a year ago. The small apartment, the steady job, and the respect he earned were all parts of a world he had never known. Every morning, he woke up with gratitude, looking out of his window at the busy city below. He remembered the long nights on the streets, the cold, the hunger, and the isolation. Those memories gave him strength. They reminded him that he could face difficulties and overcome them with patience and courage. Ravi had learned that change was not just about having money or comfort. It was about how he used the opportunities given to him. He wanted to make his life meaningful, not just comfortable. He began planning ways to help those who were struggling, just as he had once struggled. He remembered the small gestures of kindness he had received and wanted to pay them forward in every way he could. One morning, Ravi received a call from a local shelter. They had heard of his story and asked if he could visit to share his experience with the residents. Ravi agreed without hesitation. He believed that encouragement and hope were more important than material gifts. He wanted to show people that honesty, courage, and hard work could lead to change. Even in the most difficult circumstances, when Ravi arrived at the shelter, he was greeted warmly. He walked through the halls, seeing children, women, and men who were living in challenging conditions. The sight reminded him of his own past. He could relate to their struggles, their fears, and their hopes. When it was time to speak, he stood before a small crowd of attentive faces. "I know what it feels like to have nothing," Ravi began, "to be invisible to the world. To face cold nights and hunger? I have been there. But I also know that even in the darkest times, we can make choices that change our lives. I found money that could have changed my life instantly, but I chose honesty. I chose to do the right thing. That choice brought me a life I never imagined. Not just comfort, but respect, purpose, and hope." The residents listened carefully, some with tears in their eyes. Ravi continued, "Life is not always fair. Sometimes we face challenges that seem impossible. But courage, honesty, and determination can guide us. Every small step we take toward the right choice matters. Your decisions today can shape your tomorrow." After the session, many people came forward to talk to him. Some wanted advice. Some just wanted to thank him for sharing his story. Ravi spent the entire afternoon listening, encouraging, and giving practical tips. He felt fulfilled. He realized that helping others gave him a sense of purpose that no wealth or comfort could provide. When he returned to his apartment that evening, Ravi reflected on the day. He understood that life was more than work, money, or recognition. It was about connection, compassion, and making a positive difference. He decided to create a small program through the company, where employees could volunteer regularly at local shelters and help those in need. He discussed this idea with Mr. Sharma, who was immediately supportive. "Ravi, this is an excellent initiative," Mr. Sharma said. "You have grown not only as an employee, but as a person. Your vision and dedication can inspire others. Let us make this program a reality." Over the next few weeks, Ravi worked hard to organize the volunteer program. He coordinated with shelters, arranged schedules, and encouraged employees to participate. The program became a success quickly. Many employees, inspired by Ravi's story, volunteered regularly. They helped with food distribution, educational sessions, and providing essential items to people in need. Ravi felt proud not because of recognition, but because he saw hope growing in the lives of others. Meanwhile, Ravi continued to grow professionally. He had learned to manage projects, understand business operations, and even mentor new employees. Mr. Sharma noticed his efforts and often asked for his input on important decisions. Ravi had developed confidence he never thought he would have. He had gone from being invisible on the streets to becoming a respected member of the company and the community. One afternoon, Ravi received a letter from the city council. They wanted to meet him and honor his contribution to the community. Ravi felt nervous but agreed. He understood that recognition could inspire more people to make good choices and act with integrity. At the city hall, he was welcomed warmly. The mayor spoke about his courage, honesty, and the positive impact he had created. Ravi listened quietly, feeling humbled. After the ceremony, the mayor approached him and said, "Ravi, your story is an example for everyone. You have turned honesty into a powerful force for good. The city is proud of you." Ravi thanked the mayor, but he knew that the real reward was not the recognition. The real reward was the opportunity to help others, to give hope, and to create a positive change in the lives of people who were struggling. Ravi's life also included simple joys that he had never experienced before. He started cooking meals for himself, learning recipes from books and online tutorials. He discovered the pleasure of preparing a proper breakfast, of sitting at a table instead of the cold pavement. He took walks in the park, watched the sunset, and appreciated the small beauty in everyday life. Every moment felt precious because he had once lived without them. He also maintained relationships with people from his past who had shown him kindness. Manoj remained a close friend. They often met for tea and talked about life. Ravi helped Manoj improve his skills and encouraged him to pursue opportunities he had never considered. Their friendship became a source of support, laughter, and shared hope. Despite all the progress, Ravi never forgot the lessons of his past. He remembered the fear, hunger, and loneliness he had faced on the streets. Those memories made him patient, humble, and compassionate. They guided him in his interactions with others, reminding him that everyone had a story and every person deserved respect. One day, Ravi visited the alley where he had first found the box of money. The place was quiet, and he could see the marks of the city's everyday life. He stood there for a long time, remembering the cold morning when his life had changed. He thought about the choices he had made, the courage it took to act honestly, and the opportunities that followed. A sense of peace settled over him. He realized that life was full of surprises. It was the way we respond to them that defines our future. Ravi continued to expand his community efforts. He started small workshops to teach basic skills to people struggling to find jobs. He helped them prepare resumes, practice interviews, and gain confidence. He also organized reading sessions for children in shelters, teaching them about honesty, courage, and the value of education. The impact of his work was noticeable. People began to see Ravi as more than a former homeless man. He became a symbol of hope, integrity, and determination. News outlets covered his story, inspiring countless others. But Ravi remained humble. He did not seek fame. He sought to make a meaningful difference, one person at a time. Through these activities, Ravi discovered a deep sense of satisfaction. He realized that life was about more than personal success. It was about contributing to something greater than oneself. Every smile he saw, every life he touched, made him feel richer than any bundle of money ever could. At the same time, Ravi's professional life continued to flourish. He took on larger responsibilities at the company and became a mentor to new employees. He earned respect for his integrity, dedication, and ability to inspire others. His journey from the streets to success became a story used in training programs to teach values like honesty, perseverance, and empathy. Ravi's apartment, once a small space he occupied with caution, became a hub for planning his community initiatives. Volunteers, colleagues, and friends often visited to discuss ideas, share experiences, and plan events. Ravi enjoyed this collaborative environment, realizing that together, people could achieve more than any one person could alone. Even in moments of challenge, Ravi never lost hope. He faced obstacles, both personal and professional, but he approached them with patience and careful thought. He had learned that life would not always be easy, but the right choices, even when difficult, could guide him through. One evening, Ravi sat on the balcony of his apartment, watching the city lights sparkle. He reflected on his journey from a man invisible on the streets to a respected figure making a difference in the community. The memories of struggle remained, not as burdens, but as reminders of the strength, courage, resilience he had developed. He thought about the future. There were still many people who needed help, many lives that could be changed by small acts of kindness. Ravi decided to dedicate himself to making the city a place where hope and honesty mattered more than hardship. He knew that the impact of one person acting with integrity could ripple through countless lives. Ravi smiled quietly to himself. He had learned that true wealth was not measured in money, but in the ability to make a difference. Every choice, every act of honesty, every gesture of kindness had the power to shape life in ways that no one could imagine. And so, Ravi continued his journey. He worked, helped, taught, and inspired. He embraced each day with gratitude and purpose. He knew that the path ahead would have challenges, but he was ready. His life had transformed completely, not because of luck, but because he had chosen courage, honesty, and integrity. Ravi's story became a beacon of hope for many. Ravi stepped into his small new apartment with a mixture of wonder and disbelief. The walls were clean, the floor was smooth, and a small kitchen corner shone under the light. For years he had imagined a place like this, a safe corner of the world where he could rest without fear. But seeing it in reality was almost magical. He looked around slowly, touching the smooth countertop, peering into the cupboards, and marveling at the little comforts that most people took for granted. His sack, which once carried scraps and now had been emptied of the metal box, rested in the corner. It felt strange to not carry it anymore. The weight of responsibility had shifted from the physical to something much heavier inside his heart. Ravi realized that life had given him a rare opportunity, and it was now up to him to make the most of it. The first night in the apartment was quiet. Ravi sat on the small bed, feeling the warmth of a blanket that was his own. He looked at the ceiling and let his mind wander. Memories of the streets, the cold nights, the hunger, and the small kindnesses he had received came back. He thought of Manoj, who had guided him, and the few neighbors who had smiled at him over the years. Every moment of hardship had brought him to this point, and he could not ignore the sense of gratitude swelling in his heart. The next morning, Ravi received a call from Mr. Sharma, the businessman whose money he had returned. "Ravi, I want to meet you again," Mr. Sharma said. "I have arranged for your first day at the company. Come by tomorrow. We will start slowly. I want you to feel comfortable." Ravi thanked him politely, trying to hide his nervous excitement. As he walked through the city streets the next day, Ravi noticed something different. The world that had once ignored him now felt alive and full of potential. People hurried past him, busy with their lives, but he no longer felt invisible. He carried himself with a quiet dignity, knowing that his honesty had earned him respect and recognition. Mr. Sharma's office was located in a tall, modern building with shiny glass walls. Ravi had never been inside such a building before. He felt small and unsure as he walked through the lobby. A receptionist greeted him warmly and directed him to Mr. Sharma's office. "Ravi, welcome," Mr. Sharma said as he entered. "Today we start your journey with us. I want you to know that your role will not be ordinary. I have seen your courage and honesty, and I believe you can achieve great things." Ravi listened carefully as Mr. Sharma explained the work. He would start with basic tasks, learning the company's operations, understanding finances, and helping with small projects. It was an opportunity to grow, and Ravi felt both excited and nervous. He had never worked in an office, never used computers, and never managed even small responsibilities outside survival. But he was determined to learn. The first few days were challenging. Ravi struggled with new systems, strange words, and the pace of office life. He often stayed late, practicing what he had learned, asking questions and taking careful notes. He did not complain. He remembered how hard life had been on the streets, and he knew that this challenge, though different, was an opportunity. Every skill he learned was a step away from the past and a step toward a life of independence and respect. Meanwhile, Ravi did not forget the people who had helped him survive the streets. He often bought small gifts for the cafe workers, shared food with neighbors, and even gave a small donation to a local shelter. He felt joy in helping others, knowing that his actions, however small, could make life better for someone else. He remembered the nights he had spent hungry, wishing for kindness, and now he could give it freely. As weeks passed, Ravi's confidence grew. He learned to use the computer, understand financial documents, and even assist in organizing events for the company. Mr. Sharma noticed his dedication and praised him openly. "Ravi, your determination is remarkable. You have turned honesty into success, and now you are proving that hard work can take you even further." Ravi smiled quietly. He did not seek praise, but he appreciated that someone recognized his effort. He began to see himself not as a man who had once been homeless, but as a person capable of achieving more than he had ever imagined. His past no longer defined him. His actions and choices did. One evening, after a long day at work, Ravi returned to his apartment and opened a letter that had arrived for him. It was from a local school. The letter explained that Ravi had been nominated for a community recognition award because of his honesty in returning the lost money. The school wanted him to speak to students about courage, integrity, and making good choices. Ravi felt a mix of pride and nervousness. Speaking in front of a crowd had never been easy for him, but he knew that sharing his story could inspire others, especially children. On the day of the event, Ravi stood in front of a small auditorium filled with young students. He felt their curious eyes on him, and for a moment he hesitated. But he remembered the journey he had taken, the hardships he had faced, and the choice he had made. He began speaking, slowly at first, then with growing confidence. "I was once a man who had nothing," Ravi said. "I had no home, no money, and no one to help me. Life was hard, and I often felt invisible. But one day, I found something that could have changed my life instantly. Millions of dollars, hidden in a trash bag. I had a choice. I could take it and live comfortably, or I could do the right thing. I chose honesty, and that choice changed my life in ways I could never imagine." The students listened carefully, eyes wide with fascination. Ravi continued, "Sometimes life gives us opportunities that test who we are. It is not always easy to do the right thing, but courage, honesty, and kindness will guide you. If you choose what is right, even when no one is watching, you will find success and peace in your heart." After the talk, many students came forward to thank him. Teachers smiled, praising his courage and wisdom. Ravi felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He realized that life was no longer about surviving day by day. It was about influencing others, spreading hope, and showing that even in the darkest times, choices mattered. Back at his apartment, Ravi sat quietly reflecting on the journey. He thought about the streets, the cold nights, the small kindnesses, and the fear he had felt when holding the box of money. Every step had taught him something important. Every decision had shaped his life. He now understood that life could change in an instant, but the choices he made determined how it would change. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Ravi's life continued to improve. He learned new skills, built friendships at work, and slowly gained confidence in social situations he had once avoided. He even started saving money, something he had never been able to do before. Every coin he saved was a symbol of a new beginning, step toward a secure and independent life. Ravi also stayed connected with the people who had helped him survive. He made sure Manoj knew how grateful he was for guidance and support. He continued to help local shelters and gave small donations to those struggling. For Ravi, giving back was not just about gratitude. It was about recognizing that life was a chain of kindness, and he wanted to add his part to it. One afternoon, Mr. Sharma called him into the office. "Ravi, I have been watching your progress," he said. "You have not only learned quickly, but you have also shown integrity, humility, and leadership. I want to offer you a permanent role in the company with more responsibilities. You have earned it." Ravi felt proud but remained humble. "Thank you, sir," he replied. "I will do my best. I want to continue learning and growing." The promotion came with new opportunities. Ravi began supervising small teams, helping organize community projects, and managing resources carefully. He became a bridge between the company and local charities, ensuring that help reached those who needed it most. His past experiences gave him empathy, and his new position gave him power to make a difference. Life had transformed for Ravi, but he never forgot his roots. He remembered the man he had once been, sitting on a cold street corner, invisible to the world. That memory kept him grounded. It reminded him to stay humble, to respect everyone, and to continue choosing kindness and honesty, no matter how small or big the decisions in life were. One evening, Ravi walked through the city streets, enjoying the quiet peace of twilight. The air was cool, the sun setting behind tall buildings. He saw people hurrying home, children playing, and neighbors talking. The city had once been a place of struggle and fear, but now it felt like a land of possibilities. He smiled quietly, knowing he had finally found a place where he belonged. Not because of money, but because of the choices he had made. Ravi's journey was far from over. There would be challenges, new responsibilities, and moments of doubt. But he had learned that the power to shape life rested not in wealth, but in courage, honesty, and the willingness to act rightly, even when the world seemed unfair. That lesson would guide him forever. The city, once cold and indifferent, had become a place of hope. Ravi's story was now a story of inspiration. From a man who had nothing to a man who had everything he needed to live with dignity. His journey showed that life's twists and turns could bring expected rewards to those who stayed true to themselves. Ravi's heart was full. He knew that one day he would share his story with many more, helping them understand that honesty and courage were more valuable than any fortune. The days after the caravan left the valley were quiet, but full of subtle tension. Mira noticed that the villagers seemed more alert than usual. Farmers worked with their usual care, but there was an unspoken awareness in their eyes. Children played, but even their laughter carried a note of caution. The elders discussed matters quietly in the evenings, speaking of alliances, supplies, and how to keep the valley safe. Mira did her part in helping the household and observing her surroundings, but she also watched Rian more closely than before. She sensed that he carried a hidden understanding of events that went far beyond the ordinary. Knowledge of valley life. Rian himself remained calm. He continued repairing tools, fixing machines, and helping anyone who sought his skill. However, Mira began to notice small changes in him. He spent more time thinking deeply, often staring at the horizon as if measuring something invisible. He asked detailed questions about the caravan, the surrounding valleys, and the distant regions from which the travelers came. Mira realized that he was trying to understand the bigger picture, even when everyone else treated it lightly. His quiet observation reminded her that he was far more aware than he appeared. One morning, while Mira was tending to the garden, a messenger arrived from a neighboring valley. The messenger was young, carrying a scroll sealed with a simple symbol of authority. He spoke respectfully, but with urgency. My elders send greetings and a request for help. They ask for advice on defending their stores and farms against any potential threats. Myra handed the scroll to Rian. He read it silently, his brow furrowing slightly, though his expression remained calm. Mira watched him and wondered what thoughts were passing through his mind. Rian said nothing at first. He walked to the edge of the garden and looked toward the mountains. Mira followed his gaze. The valleys need to unite, he finally said, his voice steady and clear. Not through fear, but through planning. Every village can help the others without fighting. Every problem has a solution if we think carefully and work together. Myra felt a shiver of admiration. This was more than simple advice. It was a strategy born from understanding, patience, and foresight. The next day, Rian decided to visit the neighboring valley himself. Mira prepared a basket of food for the journey. She could feel a sense of responsibility and determination in him that she had never seen before. He packed simple tools, maps, and notes in a leather satchel. We must act before fear spreads, he told her. Mira nodded, understanding that he was taking the first steps toward guiding not just their valley, but the surrounding communities. She felt a mix of pride and curiosity as she watched him leave. The journey was longer than expected. Rian walked steadily, observing the land, noting safe paths. and making small adjustments to avoid areas that could be dangerous. Mira noticed how carefully he treated the people he met along the way. If a traveler was lost or a merchant needed guidance, Rian helped them politely and efficiently. He never boasted about his knowledge. His confidence came from experience and calm understanding, not pride. Myra realized that he was teaching her something important. That true strength did not need to be shown. It could be demonstrated through action and wisdom. When they reached the neighboring valley, Rian was welcomed with curiosity and respect. The elders explained the problems. Crops were vulnerable. Water sources needed protection, and some villagers were anxious about potential raids. Rian listened carefully, taking notes and asking questions. He walked among the farms, inspected irrigation systems, and suggested small but effective improvements. He spoke in a gentle tone, yet every word carried authority. The villagers began to see him as a guide, someone who could help them think clearly instead of reacting in fear. Mira followed him quietly, observing how his presence influenced the people. Children looked at him with trust. Farmers nodded when he suggested changes. Even the elders, who were cautious by nature, asked for his opinion before making decisions. Mira realized that Rian's strength was not physical, but moral and intellectual. He inspired confidence by showing that challenges could be met with careful planning and calm action. Mira began to feel something new, respect mixed with admiration, and perhaps the beginnings of affection during the evenings. When the work of the day was complete, Rian held small meetings with the elders and villagers. He explained how to coordinate resources, share knowledge, and support one another. He emphasized that humans were capable of adapting to challenges without relying on force. Myra noticed how naturally people listened to him. He had the ability to unify individuals who might otherwise act independently. His ideas were simple but powerful: communication, organization, and shared responsibility. Mira realized that this was more than problem-solving. It was leadership. One night, while the village slept, Mira and Rian walked outside. The moon shone brightly, reflecting off the calm river. Mira asked him why he did not speak of these abilities in the valley before. "I wanted to understand the people first," Rian said. "Strength is not about showing power. It is about knowing what is needed and acting at the right time. The moment to act will come. Until then, preparation and understanding are more important than words." Mira felt a new sense of wonder. The man she had married for duty now seemed to carry the wisdom of someone much older than his years. The following days were filled with activity. Rian helped repair bridges, plan irrigation systems, and create small shelters for animals and goods. Mira worked beside him, carrying supplies, organizing maps, and learning from his careful methods. She began to see the value of preparation, observation, and patience. Each day, she felt closer to Rian, not just because of shared work, but because she understood the depth of his thought, the sincerity of his purpose. Word of Rian's skills and careful guidance spread to nearby valleys. Leaders began to ask for his advice. Mira saw him explain solutions calmly, without arrogance. He showed that humans could solve problems with intelligence, organization, and teamwork, rather than relying on strength alone. Mira noticed how his quiet demeanor never faltered, even when questioned by skeptical villagers or elders. His strength was steady and reliable, not loud or aggressive. She realized that this was why people trusted him so easily. They felt safety in his presence. One afternoon, while traveling to a small settlement on the outskirts of the region, Rian and Mira encountered travelers who had been misled by rumors. They feared the distant kingdom might attempt to take control. Rian listened carefully, speaking with patience. He explained simple strategies to secure resources and maintain cooperation between villages. His words were clear, and the travelers felt hope instead of panic. Mira observed how the man she had married could bring courage, simply through calm explanation and action. As they returned home, Mira reflected on everything she had seen. The Rian she had known in the valley seemed like only a small part of who he truly was. He was quiet at home, but capable of leading, teaching, and inspiring. She realized that the marriage she once viewed as a duty was becoming something more meaningful. she did not feel fear or doubt anymore. Instead, she felt respect, admiration, and a growing sense of pride. Back in the valley, the elders welcomed Rian and Mira. They shared the advice and strategies Rian had developed with neighboring settlements. People listened and asked questions. The valley began to organize resources more efficiently. Mira noticed that even children were included in the plans, learning teamwork, observation, and responsibility. She saw the ripple effect of Rian's guidance. What had started as a quiet journey to help others had grown into a movement of preparation, calm understanding, and calm confidence. Myra's feelings for Rian continued to change. She had married him for duty, believing her role was to follow tradition and support her family. Now she understood that she had married a man whose quiet strength, intelligence, and care for others could shape entire communities. He had not sought attention or reward. He acted because he believed in responsibility, unity, and the potential of humans to rise above challenges. Mira felt inspired to stand beside him not out of duty alone, but out of genuine admiration. At night, Mira often watched Rian as he reviewed maps, organized notes, and prepared plans for the villages. She saw a sense of purpose in him that went beyond ordinary life. His mind worked like a machine, carefully adjusting every detail, yet his heart remained gentle and kind. Mira realized that she was witnessing the emergence of someone extraordinary. She began to feel a quiet hope that, together, they could help humanity grow stronger, smarter, and united. The quiet valley, once simple and peaceful, was now beginning to change. With Rian's guidance, people learned to plan, cooperate, and protect their homes. Myra understood that challenges would continue to come from outside forces, but she also knew that her husband's presence meant that they could face them calmly and effectively. She felt a deep sense of safety and trust. She had married a man for duty, but she was slowly discovering that he carried the potential to rise like no one in the valley had ever imagined. And so, the days passed. Mira continued to learn from Rian. She continued to help in small ways, preparing food, organizing supplies, and observing his methods. Ravi woke up early, as he always did. The morning sunlight streamed through the window of his apartment, filling the room with warmth. He stretched and looked around, taking in the small space that had become his home. Each object in the apartment told a story of a life rebuilt, of challenges overcome, and of the choices that had led him here. For years he had never imagined a day like this, and now he was ready to embrace the life he had worked so hard to create. His morning routine was simple but meaningful. He prepared breakfast, cleaned his small kitchen, and reviewed the schedule for the day. He had meetings at the company, a community workshop to organize, and a visit planned to a local school to speak to students about courage and honesty. Every activity mattered to him. Each one was a chance to help, inspire, or learn. Ravi had discovered that the greatest satisfaction came not from comfort or wealth, but from purpose. At the office, Ravi was greeted warmly by colleagues and employees. His story had inspired many, and people treated him with respect and admiration. He knew that respect was earned, not given, and he continued to work diligently, striving to learn new skills, solve problems, and lead by example. His efforts had transformed him from a newcomer in the corporate world into a trusted member of the team. Ravi's first task that morning was to review a project related to community outreach. He examined the plans carefully, thinking about how to make the program more effective. He wanted to ensure that the people who needed help most would receive it. His experience on the streets had given him insights that no training could teach. He knew the struggles of those living in poverty and what they needed to feel supported and empowered. After finishing his work at the office, he had spoken there before, but this time, the audience included older students who were beginning to make important choices about their futures. Ravi knew that the message he shared could influence their decisions, their character, and even the paths they chose in life. When he arrived at the school, the students were eager to hear him speak. Ravi began with honesty and humility. "I was once a man who had nothing," he said. "I lived on the streets, hungry and cold, invisible to the world. One day I found something that could have changed my life immediately, millions of dollars in a metal box. I had a choice. I could take it and live comfortably, or I could do what was right. I chose honesty, and that choice changed my life in ways I could never have imagined." The students listened intently, some leaning forward in their seats. Ravi continued, "Life will test you. Sometimes it will present opportunities that are tempting, even when they are not right. Courage, honesty, and kindness are the tools that guide us through these tests. Your choices today shape the person you become tomorrow. Even small decisions matter. Even small acts of honesty and courage can lead to great changes." After the talk, several students approached Ravi with questions. They wanted advice about school, friendships, and decisions they faced at home. Ravi answered each question carefully, sharing lessons from his own journey. He encouraged them to think about the long-term consequences of their actions, to choose integrity over ease, and to value empathy and respect. On the way back from the school, Ravi reflected on the morning. His heart felt full, not because of recognition, but because of the possibility of influencing others positively. He understood that his story could inspire countless people, and that hope, once given, could grow into courage, determination, and change. Back at his apartment, Ravi spent time preparing for the community workshop he had organized that afternoon. The workshop focused on practical skills for people struggling to find jobs, build confidence, and improve their lives. Ravi enjoyed these moments. He was no longer just a participant in life. He was a guide, a mentor, and a source of inspiration. Helping others gave him purpose, joy that money alone could never provide. The workshop began with Ravi welcoming the participants warmly. He shared his story, emphasizing the importance of honesty, determination, and making positive choices. "I was once in your position," he said. "I understand fear, doubt, and struggle. But every challenge can be an opportunity if you respond with courage. Your choices define your future. Use them wisely." Participants asked questions about employment, skills, and life challenges. Ravi listened patiently, offered advice, and created a plan for each person to take small steps toward improvement. He helped them write resumes, practice interviews, and set realistic goals. For many, this workshop was the first time someone had genuinely listened to their struggles and offered practical guidance. Ravi's empathy, born from his own hardships, allowed him to connect deeply with each person. After the workshop, several participants thanked Ravi. One young man said, "I never thought I could find hope again. But listening to you has inspired me to keep trying." Ravi smiled. He knew that hope was the beginning of change. Every person he helped represented a ripple of positivity that could spread further than he could imagine. That evening, Ravi returned home, exhausted but content. He prepared a simple dinner and reflected on the day. His life had changed dramatically, but he remained humble and grateful. He had learned that true wealth was not measured in money, but in the ability to make a difference, to inspire others, and to live with integrity. Ravi also maintained a close connection with his friend Manoj. They met regularly, sharing tea, discussing ideas, and reflecting on life. Manoj had witnessed Ravi's journey from the beginning and remained a source of encouragement and support. Their friendship was a reminder that even in a world of challenges, genuine connections could provide strength, comfort, and guidance. In the following months, Ravi's influence in the community grew. He collaborated with local organizations, schools, and businesses to create programs that supported education, employment, and personal development. He organized reading sessions for children, skill-building workshops for adults, and volunteer initiatives to provide essential supplies for those in need. His work inspired employees at his company and motivated community members to participate actively. Ravi's life was no longer defined by survival. It was defined by purpose, action, and impact. He had transformed his past struggles into lessons that guided his present and shaped the future of others. He remained humble, recognizing that every achievement was built on choices, integrity, and the support of those who had helped him along the way. One evening, Ravi received a call from Mr. Sharma. "Ravi, I am impressed with the work you are doing in the community. Your dedication is remarkable. I want to propose a long-term role where you can lead community initiatives full-time. Your vision can create lasting change." Ravi listened carefully. He knew this opportunity would allow him to expand his impact even further. After thoughtful consideration, he accepted. Ravi's new role allowed him to focus entirely on programs that empowered people. He traveled to different neighborhoods, speaking with residents, understanding their challenges, and implementing solutions. His approach was practical, compassionate, and inspiring. He became a mentor not only to individuals, but to entire communities, encouraging them to work together, help each other, and build stronger, more resilient networks. Through this work, Ravi discovered new strengths. He developed leadership skills, learned to manage complex projects, and coordinated with multiple organizations. He found fulfillment in creating opportunities for others and seeing tangible improvements in their lives. Every success, no matter how small, reinforced his belief that life's greatest rewards came from service, integrity, and empathy. Despite his growing responsibilities, Ravi never forgot his personal journey. He continued to visit the places that had shaped him, including the alley where he found the box of money. Standing there, he reflected on the choices he had made, the fears he had faced, and the courage that had guided him. He realized that life had tested him in ways he could not have anticipated, but he had emerged stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. Ravi also valued moments of simple joy. He walked in the park, watched the sunset, and appreciated the beauty of everyday life. He cooked meals, enjoyed quiet evenings at home, and spent time with friends and colleagues. These moments reminded him that happiness was not just about achievements, but about balance, gratitude, and presence. Over time, Ravi became a symbol of hope and inspiration. His story spread through the city, reaching newspapers, radio, and local events. People admired his honesty, courage, and dedication to helping others. But Ravi remained humble. He did not seek fame. He focused on the work, on making a positive impact, and on living according to the values that had guided him from the streets to success. One day, Ravi received a letter from a young woman who had attended his workshop. She wrote about how his story had inspired her to pursue education despite difficulties in her family. She thanked him for showing that integrity and determination could lead to real change. Ravi read the letter carefully and felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He realized that the influence of one person, acting with honesty and courage, could reach far beyond what they could imagine. Ravi's journey had come full circle. From a man struggling to survive on the streets to a